Welcome to Taking It to the Nub. Another Saturday night of fun, excitement, and cigar smoking. And tonight, I got a couple of really special things. One, have my new guest host and probably my future permanent host right here, Quentin Brown. So Quentin, you're going to be joining us and enjoying the show, and I'm sure you've got some questions. And more importantly, our guests tonight. Yes, plural. We have a full house tonight, but it's not a full house panel like we do with consumers. I have a full house panel from Emperors Cut Cigars. Emperors Cut Cigars, you're going to learn a lot about tonight. We have 4 of the major partners that are involved in this adventure, and they have been creating a couple of amazing blends. You just saw the review I put out on the Emperors Cut Jazz Train, 96 rated. No joke about that. It is phenomenal. Tonight, I'm actually going to be smoking their original blend, the Natural Pleasure, and we're going to see, I'm just going to enjoy it, and I'll have a review on another one of that later. But at this point, let me bring in Team Emperors Cut. Gentlemen, welcome to Taking It to the Nub.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
So I would say, since we have such a large room of people, why don't we just go around with Emperors Cut and you guys can introduce yourself. I'll just cue it up. We'll start with Robert.
My name is Robert Howard. I'm one of the partners in Empress Cut Cigars, originally from Chesapeake, Virginia, but now live in Washington, D.C.
Thank you. Daryl.
Daryl Redmond, one of the Empress Cuts partners, originally from Chesapeake, Virginia, now residing in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Right. Maurice.
I'm Maurice Holland. I'm also from Chesapeake, Virginia. I'm Robert's older brother, and I'm from Chesapeake, and I currently live in Suffolk, Virginia.
All right. And, well, we're going to call you Street because that's your nickname right there.
That's my name. Why break it up? Darnell Street from Chesapeake, Virginia. I reside in Houston, Texas, and I'm one of the founding partners for Emperors Cut Cigars.
Excellent. And I know some people out there might know who Quentin Brown is, but Quentin, real quick, just tell people who Quentin Brown is and enjoy the show.
Quentin Brown, I'm the little man on the totem pole. I don't have anything to say. I'm here to enjoy the conversation and make Jimmy laugh a little bit.
That's easy to do. All right, so let's get it started. Emperors Cut, there is you, the 4 of you, and a lot more. You got a lot of partners, from what I understand, in this business. So if one of you can just kind of give us a little overview of how this came to be and how you were able to bring in, whether it be friends, family from around the country to get into this project that you've started.
I'll take that one, and then I'll let my partners fill in if there's time. We all the guys that you see here on the podcast, and Greg Willis, we've all traveled together and we played sports and we golfed together. And we just said, hey, we think we can make a pretty good cigar. We smoke enough of them all throughout the year, so why don't we go off and do something? So we put a company together and we raised some investment money between ourselves, and we decided to start Emperors Cut Cigars. And then we brought on 2 more partners, Greg Hurt and Timmy Bush at the time. And that's how we got started. We said, we love cigars. Well, let's go see if we can make some that the everyday person would love to smoke from a price point and a flavor profile.
Well, and you did a great job from what I smoked with the first cigar. Checking out the second one here. What I will tell people is the cold draw on the Natural Pleasure, which is your original blend, is just spectacular. You just experience that aged leaf that's in here. So you're not cutting any corners in doing this. what was your approach to starting this? How did you get into blending? How did you get into, finding a factory? How did that process work for you with so many people involved? Who led that, or what did you have a sub team to do that? Maybe.
So we all have different specialties. So I've got a supply chain purchasing background, so I did the initial research. Maurice is supply chain and logistics, so he helped out with transportation, all the tariffs and everything. Daryl is front end sales, so he's on the other end trying to find a home for the cigars. Robert is legal and compliance, making sure we stay out of jail. Greg Willis is sales as well, so they have put together a sales strategy. And Timmy Bush is business development, looking for organizations, golf organizations, sporting events, anywhere that we might be able to place our cigar with a large group. And then we have Greg Hurt, who's international logistics, and he's actually looking at transportation and logistics lanes around the world so that we can source materials, sometimes differently than what the cigar industry has traditionally done.
You absolutely run this like a oiled business.
We try. It's difficult, but we try. And you guys know, because you're working now, we have no days off. There are times in this business in the early days, I think we run weeks where somebody was working 24 hours a day. We were sending emails at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Your website, when you first go to it, one of the first things it'll tell you is it's the best cigar you've never heard of. Hopefully we start to change that.
How about Daryl, Robert? You guys want to take that?
That was a phrase coined from Lee Mack, who is a podcast person as well, and a big personality. And he actually reviewed the cigar on air, and he coined that phrase. It was the best cigar you've never heard of. So we kept it and ran with it.
All right. How difficult was it to get into this market, especially during the pandemic? New brand, new faces, not your typical cigar profile of people. How did that, what challenges did you have to overcome?
Robert, you want to take that?
Sure. So, our company was founded in 2017. I don't think we mentioned that. And our first stick came out the subsequent summer, around summer of 2018. So we already had a presence, before the COVID pandemic / public health emergencies around the nation. So, we originally started off thinking that we were going to be a online business. But as Daryl was saying from that quote, one of the best cigars you never heard of, we found that people who didn't know us, they want to see you, they want to talk to you, they want to smoke with the owners, they want to know everything about your product. So that's how we actually started getting out and doing events, going to different lounges, letting people see our face. And once you try the stick, it's, all three of them are excellent. I've actually taken a trip down to Nicaragua, and I've seen that dark, rich, volcanic soil, that same soil that the big guys take their tobacco out of, that's the same soil that our tobacco comes out of. So once you taste it and you try it, we say, don't throw all your other cigars away, just add us to your rotation. And during the pandemic, it actually surprised us. We didn't know where, it was going, but people who were at work were now working from home. And what do you do when you're at home? You want a good stick. So our sales were actually very good during the pandemic. And fortunately, we have 2 manufacturers, one in the Dominican Republic and one in Nicaragua, who have both been consistent about producing the sticks. We've never had any shortages, unlike some of the big boys during the pandemic. We plan, like you said, a well-oiled machine. We plan ahead of time. We order several months ahead of time to project what we need. So we've had a constant flow even during the pandemic.
Do you want to, can you reveal who your factories are?
Yeah, Robert, go ahead.
So we use, I think pretty much everybody knows about our Dominican factory, which is La Aurora. Manuel Noah, the lead blender down there, blends our Jazz Series sticks. So some of the partners went down there, I believe in the summer of 2019, and the stick debuted in October 2020. So they actually went to the Dominican Republic, put our boots on the ground, went to several factories, told them what we want, tried their sticks, and La Aurora had the best blend for us. Plus, they already had a large number of cigars which are already approved to be sold in the U.S. So that's one of those logistics and legal hurdles that you have to think about when you're developing a new stick. Our first factory is the Cortez family out of Esteli, Nicaragua. So great folks, been in the business for several decades. And again, very consistent, personable. Like I said, we went down to the factory January 2020, sat down with a table full of cigars, different blends, and tried to develop new sticks. So, it sounds like fun, but that's some work.
I've done that.
A lot of lung power, a lot of lung power.
Exactly. A little coffee, a little water in between. Yeah.
Gotta have that Nicaraguan coffee. And
Yeah.
I've been involved in that with, I had done that with a local shop once. We went down, he was trying to get a blend together, and that whole experience to begin with. But that was the initial experience. As you go forward now, are you learning? Have you learned things about how to blend, or what works and what doesn't work as far as flavor and combustion?
We have. We were in the factory in August. We try to be in the factory 2 to 3 times a year. We go down as teams so that we can keep a regular presence down there. But we try to, take notes from our customers around the world. Maurice surveys our customers, and we send surveys out about the blend, about the filler, about the actual leaf itself, the wrapper, and we actually send some sample cigars to a core group of people, and we take notes back. Like Robert was saying, when we're down in Esteli, we literally called a customer. We were developing a cigar, and it had some cedar notes in it, and he kept saying, it was a little earthy, a little woodsy, and we couldn't figure it out. We couldn't duplicate it. Normally, we'll put sample cigars in the rotation before we get there, so they've aged a couple of weeks. And we found out it was the cedar that he liked, and it was the cedar that actually made the cigar tobacco profile a little bit different. But it took 3 months and several iterations before we said, we're missing the cedar. And so we figured that out just because we were there and we got customer feedback.
Outstanding. And you pride yourself on that, as I see. That is important to bring your consumers in. Quentin, you have any questions as you're sitting there listening?
Well, one of the things that I just admire from the guys is recognizing how many different avenues comes with the production of a cigar and getting it to your shops, from procurement to the retail side. A lot of people don't really understand that when they get into the cigar industry, especially when it comes down to producing your own cigar, how many different avenues that it requires. So to hear you guys acknowledge that and say, hey, that it takes a team. It's not a one-man band. It's not a one-man show. There's 5, there's 6 of us, because each one of us carries a specialty. I think a lot of people should pay attention to that, because I think that's a pretty awesome acknowledgement on your guys' behalf to say, hey, we're trying to stay out of jail. We're trying to make sure that we stay in the lanes of the legal principalities of everything.
Right.
So I really admire that, and that's really something to be commended. And I really, really appreciate that about you guys, is that there are so many different avenues, and that you guys acknowledge that and put that on the forefront.
We've had everything held up at the port. We've had boxes. We've had specialty items that we wanted to send down to the factory to put in the box. And if it wasn't for Maurice or Greg Hurt making phone calls, then we would not have been able to get them out. And in some cases, our partner that does international shipping, he's able to call people in one country and know somebody in another country and able to help us out. So that's been really good on our side. We always say, you can't sell what you don't have. So directive 1 is never run out of cigars.
Now, obviously, one of the big things is growing your footprint. About how many stores are you guys in, or how many retail locations are you guys in now? And what is the projected growth within the next, let's just say, 2 to 5 years? Where do you guys see yourself going?
You want to take that, Daryl?
Yeah, currently we're in over 100 locations in cigar lounges across the country. We're touching 28 states. We are also in 37 Total Wine stores through 6 different states, I believe, is that number. We are projecting, and I say hope is not a strategy, but we are hoping and projecting that we could double those sales in the next 1.5 to 2 years.
It's impressive. And for a young company, growing that quickly is quite awesome. One of our viewers, Jeff Walsh, asks, and any one of you can answer this, or all 4 of you go quick round. He says, who would you all like to have a cigar with from the past?
Take it, Maurice.
That's what I'm just sitting here thinking. From the past, I was a big Rocky Patel fan, so I used to smoke a lot of Rocky Patels before we started this. Which, you know, we always say we're striving to find the perfect cigar, and we're still looking. That's why we work so hard to develop the different flavor profiles that we like, because basically that's how we started, just smoking. And then we would like, you know, this cigar is good, but I think this one would do better. And, you know, we added a lot of those in the rotation. But to get back to the question, some of those old cats from Cuba that's been rolling and doing it for years, I'd like to, you know, just sit and pick their brain and see, you know, where they see the industry going, opposed to where it was at the time when they were the big boys.
How about you, Robert?
I don't know if I'm that philosophical or in depth as my brother. I like to laugh, so I probably like to smoke a cigar with a Red Fox or Richard Pryor. Just have them tell me some stories about Hollywood. That's me. To me, a cigar is pleasure. You know, enjoy it after a hard day of work. You know, you sit down and enjoy the company, even if you're smoking at home or going to the lounge, just enjoying yourself. So I like to laugh. So yeah, I like to Richard Pryor or Red Fox if they come back.
How about you, Daryl?
I was going somewhat down the same path as Robert. I'm a big Muhammad Ali fan, so I think I would like to smoke a cigar with Muhammad. And could you imagine the additional sales that we would get if folks saw me and Muhammad Ali hanging out?
All right, Street. So yours to take.
I'm similar to Robert, since Maurice did all the work for us on the technical side, smoking with the pioneers of cigars. I would love to smoke with Lena Horne in a nice jazzy environment, smoky room. See if I can get that phone number by the time I finish.
Oh, okay. So you came close to what I was about to ask in the middle of this. Nobody mentioned Miles Davis or John Coltrane. And you had to I was like, wait a minute.
Too deep.
But on that vein, do you have your cigars in? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of places probably don't allow it anymore, but jazz clubs.
We have Maurice has some customers in the Richmond area. We have lounges where owners have set up for music venues, and they do different events. And we've got I believe it's the Mona Club.
Mona Lounge.
Mona Lounge. It's very jazzy like and very you know, open in that sense.
Okay, all right, because I do love jazz, so you know,
Yeah,
it's one of the most relaxing genres to smoke a cigar to, sitting in small, dimly lit room, sometimes just by yourself, getting into your head, letting the music play. So,
and I think Daryl can add on to that too, because when we launched the jazz line, we actually did a virtual jazz concert.
Yeah, we did a virtual jazz concert with HAPCO, which is a foundation that employs young musicians out of college to support events like that. And they actually had musicians that only played Coltrane, Dizzy, or Miles music. But very, very great event.
Man,
I've actually also done a cigar dinner here in South Florida, and we had some jazz musicians playing their music as well. And that was a really good event as well.
that's cool because you kind of answered the second question I was about to ask you based on this conversation, which is what is an Emperors Cut cigar event like?
Wow. We all have done different events. I'm in South Florida, so our events are catered to, a lot of tourist type locations, open air restaurants. We have a couple of nightclubs that we are able to do events. I've done a couple of golfing outings as well. So Darnell, I think you guys did something in Texas that was pretty significant. You want to talk about?
Yeah, we actually did, we were asked to do a jazz series, October, November, and December. We ended the year with some of the very popular jazz artists in the Houston area. And so we provided cigars and we set up kind of a cigar lounge in between sets and everybody smoked. And after the event, all the jazz artists, they loved our cigar. And the one thing about the jazz artists, they kind of travel in packs, so when they're not playing, they support each other. So we have a number of jazz musicians that love our cigar.
There you go. And you guys seem to travel in a bit of a pack too when you go around. I mean, you go to different events, but some of you get together, I'm sure.
That's because we actually like each
other. There you go. Happy partners, happy life, right?
Yeah, there you go.
They do travel in a pack. Last time I ran into these guys, PCA.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that in a moment. So hold that thought, and we're gonna get to that in just a moment. I want to take a fast commercial break. We're gonna go through quickly the sponsors for the show, and when we come back, I want to dig into trade shows and how you've been handling those over your time in existence. So today's show is proudly brought to you by El Chan Cigars. Welcome to a dream come true. Husband and wife, Gabby, El Chan, and Liz want all the hands that work the tobacco leaf in their home country of Puerto Rico to have the same opportunity to expose their products. They call it La Jolla del Chan because they cultivate part of their product and at some point want to be able to supply the world with their native tobacco leaf. The pride that Gabby and Liz feel is the same pride of all those who work the leaf, and for this, they deserve a portal that represents them. They want to thank everyone for supporting their country. They say, we will resist. You can follow them at www.lajolladelchan.com and at El Chan Cigars on Instagram and Facebook. Today's show is also brought to you by the Cigar Clowns. So when you talk about trying to find the best smoke out there, they invite you to come along on the journey with them to find the perfect cigar. If you're lucky enough to get your hands on one of their limited releases, you know what's up. And if you haven't had one, stay tuned to their page on Facebook. When a run drops, they go quickly. Good conversation, great people, and smoking cigars. So we would like to welcome all brothers and sisters of the leaf who share the same love as we do for cigars to join in for that search for the perfect cigar on Cigar Clowns. Cigar Medics.
Before you light your next cigar, be sure to check out Cigar Medics, the makers of the patent-approved humidimeter. The humidimeter is a tool designed to display the relative humidity inside your cigar. With this device, there's no more guessing. Simply insert the probes into the foot or cap of your cigar, and you can instantly know if your cigar is ready to be smoked. Buy now on cigarmedics.com and see site for other cigar accessories. With the humidimeter, you'll know when to hold them and know when to smoke them.
We're also brought to you by Rodriguez Cigars. Rodriguez Cigars is the oldest cigar factory in the island of Key West. Founded in 1984 with roots back to 1947, the Rodriguez family began the masterful art of cultivating tobacco on their private plantation in Cuba. By 1952, they employed over 20 workers and grew over 120,000 pounds of tobacco annually. 8 years later, the Cuban government nationalized the private plantation, and the Rodriguez family was forced to immigrate to the United States. In 1984, they opened up their cigar shop on the island of Key West, and now it is also a cigar factory that you can go to and you can experience rolling a cigar yourself and experience the fine craft that comes out of Key West and the Rodriguez family. You can catch them at www.rodriguezcigarskeywest.com. And lastly, our show today is brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars, a family-owned and operated premium cigar company. Only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar, resulting in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest of cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at Platinum Nova Cigars, www.novacigar.com, and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'd like to thank my sponsors, for without them, these shows are a little bit harder to do. Let's get back to Emperors Cut. So before we took the break, we were just about to talk about trade shows. So I met you for the first time last month at Tobacco Plus Expo, TPE in Vegas. Quentin met you at PCA last year. Were those the first two trade shows you've done, or have you been at other trade shows before that?
Yes, those were the first two trade shows we had participated in.
So how was your experience? Let me briefly explain the experience between PCA and TPE. Did you like one better than the other?
I'm gonna let Robert take that one because I did PCA, but Robert did both.
Yeah, so at PCA last summer in Vegas, it was myself, Darnell, Daryl, and Timmy. So we had, full staff there, and we were on our feet, every day, all day. That was a huge event. I'd spoken to some people who have been in the industry for years who said it was a little smaller than previous years because of the pandemic. But for us, for our first show, it was exciting. It was a lot of work, and we got a lot out of it. And for us, because we were boots on the ground, we got in these over 100 lounges by actually going and visiting lounges. So Darnell, Timmy, and Greg down in Houston, the other Greg Willis in Atlanta, Daryl in Miami, Maurice, Eastern Virginia, in Richmond, me in Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC area. We had to get in our cars, go to these lounges, smoke with the owners, tell them about the products. PCA was great because we were exposed to folks who we would not normally be exposed to. We met folks from Washington State and Oregon and New Mexico and Arizona, California folks. So it was a great opportunity to expand out to Western market, folks who wouldn't have heard of us because we have a large presence here in the Southeast. TPE, of course, again, our first time at TPE, it surprised me that, I think probably roughly about 2/3 was, vape products and CBD products and, other non-tobacco delivery systems. So it wasn't as big of a cigar show, but there were several boutique vendors there who I don't think I recall seeing at PCA. So maybe the price of entry was a little more affordable for TPE for the little guys. So
yeah, that's true. TPE is definitely more affordable for small companies. And they offer different ways of doing it, whether you have your own booth or you get part of a kiosk which holds upwards of maybe 8 different brands. Very easy foot traffic going through TPE as opposed to PCA, where you got to run the whole floor of the convention center. So TPE I could do in 2 days. PCA, I don't get to hit even everything in the 3 days that they have it. So it's definitely two different shows, two different personalities of shows. How'd you do? How'd you do at TPE this year?
I think we did a decent job at TPE. Some folks who had met us at PCA came back, they tried our product for the first time and came back to reorder. And we actually met several folks who had not heard of our brand before. Some of those folks who were from the Western Coast. So it was a great experience for us. It was a positive experience.
And what we like about the show is that we call it customer acquisition costs. Once you get past Chicago, it is difficult for us to try to go out there on our own. We got great presence up and down the East Coast, over the Central, but the shows gave us great visibility to West Coast customers, whereas it'll take us a long time to do it on our own.
And that's fantastic the way that works. And you are actually in a special kiosk area, right? So are you using, and I always forget their name.
Sutliff.
Sutliff, yes, I'm sorry, thank you. So are you using Sutliff services for distribution to different parts of the country?
Yes. So we did a deal with Sutliff last June, and that was our opportunity to try to grow our footprint to the West, because we knew individually, we call it the ground and pound. We fly into a city on a Thursday, leave on a Sunday, and we can literally hit maybe 8 to 10 shops. We can have a high close rate of about 70% over the next trailing 4 to 5 days. But to do that in Nevada or California, Washington, is just real difficult, and it's expensive for us to do.
Yeah, you don't have like, some of these Western states, you don't, it's kind of like Montana has like one area code, right? So
exactly.
You got a lot of driving across a big state to hit a few shops, right?
Exactly. Like we could drop into DC and we can get DC, Baltimore. We can, go up to Jersey. We can come down to Virginia. We get high penetration when we select certain cities to go into. So that East Coast acquisition of customers is a bit easier than once you get past the central part of the U.S.
What would you say is was the hardest market to break into on the East Coast?
I think, from my opinion, and maybe Maurice might want to add in, is that I think New York is difficult for us. Not so much the people, it's the tax base, pricing. When you add all of that in, because we try to work with our potential new customers, our lounges, we try to do some profit analysis. If they don't make money, we don't make money. So we go in trying to make sure that we take that. If we take any real estate in the humidor, it becomes profitable, and we try to make sure we can turn cigars in a relatively short period of time. And the taxes has always kind of slowed us for the New York, New Jersey area, but we keep trying to find areas that we can work in and customers that will give us a chance.
Taxes become a problem, and I'm going to breach this in this show because I've been talking about it to different people a number of times. But when you think about the taxes on the cigars, so I live in Florida, so we think of it as a zero tax state other than sales tax, right? At least for the entry to get in. But before it even gets to the states, right, there are federal taxes, there are use fees, all added on to the wholesale price before you can even take possession of those cigars off a dock. Right. And those prices tend to be baked into the wholesale price that you offer to a retailer. And then the retailer tends to do the simple math, double it and put it on a shelf. And then, of course, their local taxes. What would you think if it was a better way of doing it where those taxes weren't double, they were put on the price, so you recoup the taxes at the wholesale level? But should the retailer be doubling those taxes to the consumer? Because as cigar prices go up, those taxes are going to start to make it prohibitive to a lot of consumers to purchase cigars.
Yeah, I wish there was a better way to do it, a better way that the consumer didn't get impacted as much. I really don't have the answer. I mean, Robert and I, we've talked to Cigar Snob and some other magazine asked us for our opinion on regulations and stuff like that. And we kind of see that customers are bearing the brunt of it. It's just like inflation now. When something goes up, raw material, it just keeps getting passed to the customer. And I think it's unfortunate that it's just getting to be a burden. And we're a small company, so when we think about it, we're thinking about the larger guys in the industry that can absorb that or do something different with their pricing. We're boutique. We gotta pass it on in a way that we still can make money, but then stay competitive at the same time. We eat as much as we can, but we can't eat a lot.
And you just came out with a press release last month about price increases, right?
We did.
So you held prices pretty much for since 2017, 18 till now. And what was your price increase that you announced?
We did kind of across our lines, we did about a 5 to 7% increase in pricing, which was very modest compared to our competitors because we didn't try to recoup all of the costs that we were associated with. We're taking the long, we're taking the long strategy. We know our customers have been with us, and we're eating what we can until things kind of settle down. But we saw some manufacturers putting up 15, 17% across their line. And we just thought that wasn't a good strategy for us because, we're small and we're hoping our customers appreciate that here's the piece we had to pass on, but we ate some as well.
Any comments, Quentin?
No comments. That's a lot of knowledge that they just dropped for me. From a retail standpoint, I do notice I can probably agree with them on the New York side. Just like I said, I just came out of Philly, so Philly, New Jersey. But I notice when you hit that New York market, it tightens up extremely. So when you're and then what sucks, right? When you're in a New York market where the tax rate is absolutely through the roof, but you're an hour and a half from Pennsylvania where the tax rate drops significantly, you're trying to grow your footprint, right? But also at the same time, you're like, does it make sense for us to take our product at that price point and instead of just reallocating where it goes, send it to Pennsylvania where maybe you can grow your footprint at a little bit different cost, analysis. I think that you guys hit the nail right on the head as far as New York being a very tight market. Right. Would you say that New York and California are very similar in how their taxes and that tax base is ran? What's your feedback on that?
No, you're right. We've been in the New York area, San Diego, LA. In LA, I believe we have at least 2 shops in LA where it's worked out. What we try to do is we try to model pricing with our lounges and try to drive some level of throughput so that it becomes a good value proposition for both. But we think of it as a heat map where we try to go where we got the least resistance as it relates to taxes, geographic footprint, so that we can get in. And as we grow our business, then we might be able to supplement some of the areas around the country where we really would like to have a presence and taxes become an issue. We can try to figure out a way that maybe we can eat a little bit more versus we just don't do business at all.
Right. Smart business again. You guys are business people, and I like what I'm hearing on how you run your business, and you're running a tight ship. With that said, you mentioned earlier about a little bit of a charitable thing. Do you have any other philanthropic things that you do as a company, any foundations, other things that you rotate some of your money and donate to, on, as part of your mission?
I'll start off and I'll let the guys talk, but in general, we all have special projects with each partner. Mine, I have a food bank, Catholic church that we volunteer every Friday, and we try to feed homeless people, or we try to feed the community. And then we have Search Homeless in the Houston area that we'll donate money to, along with, we try to work with small businesses, anything that's cigar related in the community. We will try to purchase locally cigar nubbers, hats, caps, t-shirts, if we can make it work in our portfolio. I'll let Maurice or someone else talk about their philanthropic activity.
Yeah, we also try to work with some HBCUs to make donations and support them in their financial endeavors, as well as some fraternal organizations, Shriners, Masonic organizations, to actually help them fulfill their mission. We try to help out anybody who we can. That's what we're all about. We're just not all about making money. We do try to give back and to support people who support us.
Very good.
And we've also supported some scholarship galas and cookouts up here in the DMV area. Folks that, there was one organization that supported HBCU enrollees who were about to start college, and some other charitable organizations. And one fraternal organization. So we actually gave them a steep discount on the cost of the sticks and showed up. So sometimes that's a part of it, just being there. And you don't have to pay the full price. We want to give something back to your organization, and we do that by discounting and showing up and talking about a product and helping you support your organization and making your event to be great.
And I work within the Dade County School Board, and I mentor kids after school. So that's our give back.
And we support all local law enforcement, military. We give huge discounts. We got Air Force and Marines on our team, so we never let our military go without smoking. And then in the local community, we deal with a lot of law enforcement, so we try to keep them happy. We meet a lot of them at events, and we continue to have long-term relationships with them.
Outstanding. I love hearing that kind of feedback. This is the brothers and sisters of the Leaf. And one beautiful thing about this industry is it is a giving industry. And if only the regulatory agencies actually understood that and saw what we do beyond cigars, companies, shops, brand owners, factories, how we help people, maybe they would leave us alone a little bit. But you don't seem to get that press. You need more of that. So anytime you do something like that, if you do something really cool, send me a press release. I would just keep pressing it out. We'll just keep reminding people what we do as an industry.
We haven't done a good job pushing it out because we didn't want our community to think we were just doing it to sell cigars. This is who we are. We all grew up in the same town, helping out. Our parents pushed us to go volunteer until we figured out it was part of our DNA. So we just did it. And I tell you, Christmas time, we did some toys for Tots down here and for some kids out of the country. And, we had made our donations and theirs came in late and we didn't really have the money. But once they made a case, like, let me just go sell more cigars. We just got to do it. And good will come back at some point. So we just we want our community to be healthy. And if that means taking a little bit less, we're good with it.
Nice. When you so earlier we talked about, you had two factories. You got one in the Dominican, one in Nicaragua. Do you have a goal or a mission to work with other factories, or are these your two main factories now and going forward?
We do. We have several major manufacturers that want to work with us. So we're very fortunate and blessed. We've got manufacturers that have reached out to us and want to do business. We've tried to be very thought-provoking about how it impacts the brand. Can we hold up our end? Can it be beneficial to both parties? So we've got a couple that we're considering and that we're in talks with to do either a joint cigar or blend it together, and it comes out under our name. So, hopefully third quarter, you'll see a little bit of that.
So you're thinking about third quarter, maybe a new EC cigar?
Yes, absolutely. Third quarter, we'll have something out. You'll probably see some introductions, as we approach PCA. So, we're learning as we go. We've been dropping our cigars on our own marketing time frame. And then when all of us went to PCA, we said, maybe it makes sense to have some type of marketing up the PCA so you can see all these people at one time. We go, duh, we should have thought of that. So we, once we went to PCA, we're like, the light went off.
Nice.
So you'll see some probably in the May, June timeframe. We'll drop cigars in the second quarter and probably going into the third quarter as well.
Okay. At this point, I want to take another quick break. I'm going to go through what's new in news and reviews in Stogie Press this week. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears completely. I'm going to talk a little football. So this week in Stogie Press, it was a busy week. It was a busy week for me during the day, and I just started. I started myself back up in Taekwondo, so my whole schedule has been all whacked. So I'm trying to refigure my timing and when I do what I do. But I was able to fit in one cigar review this week, and that cigar review was your Emperors Cut Jazz Series Train. And for those that are watching this, yes, this is a solid 96 rated cigar. This is an 1150 cigar. It's an Ecuadorian Sumatra Colorado, meaning you're going to get a little bit of red tinge in that leaf. It's got an Ecuadorian binder with a Dominican Cibao Valley, Nicaraguan, and Peruvian fillers. So this has got a very bold, delicious filler. The flavor profile I was getting out of this, I got notes of cedar, chocolate, cocoa, coffee, a maple syrup aroma, a natural sweetness that was coming and going. There was a decent pepper on the front that faded into these other flavor notes. There was some spice at the end, and a sweet cracker aroma also was getting out of it. I couldn't say anything more than wow when I smoked this. I thought it was a spectacular cigar. I'll just go quickly through this. The current Jazz series comes in 3 sizes. So they have a Gran Robusto, a Gordito, and a Toro named after different jazz artists, obviously John Coltrane, Dizzy Gillespie, and Miles Davis. Going through here, you could just see the beautiful red color that's in here. It's got a marbled wrapper. So if you look at the wrapper closely, you'll notice the red tinge, and you notice a nice marbling going through that. It is got a little bit of veins on it, but again, to me, veins are flavor. They provide nutrients to the leaf. They provide flavor to the palate. So don't be afraid of veins if the cigar burns the way this cigar burned. Come on, give me a break. Look at this. Look at that ash. I mean, that's not every day I get an ash on a cigar like that. This is what I talk about when I say a burn cone. Burn cones shouldn't be flat. They shouldn't be coming to a point. They should have a beautiful kind of rosebud or strawberry bud tip to it. All right. Just means that it's properly constructed to provide that. It's combusting exactly the way it should. Nice thin burn line. There was a little bit of wave at the end. The only thing I dinged this thing on was that little mild wave. It's my system. I have to be honest to everybody of what I do, but the extreme ash, definitely a box buy, and this thing was pleasant and consistent across multiple samples that you provided me. Thank you very much. So yes, this is something you want to get your hands on. As far as news this week, it was a very busy news cycle again. We'll start off with the fact that Fratello Cigars and CigarClub.com has announced a new cigar that they call the Balancing Act Part 1. It's being done also at L'Aurora. Alec Bradley announced that the Filthy Hooligan Barber Pole and the Filthy Hooligan Shamrock are being shipped out to tobacconists next week. So for those of you that are looking for this, it's on its way. Favilla SA introduced the Coseca 2016. So they're going to be coming out with that, a 5x52. A number of news articles coming out of General Cigars on their full line of cigars. They're continuing it this week. This one here is the La Gloria Cubano Serie R number 8. This is a behemoth cigar. This is a 7x70. I don't get it. I'm not a big cigar smoking guy. I have the biggest cigar I have in my lounge. Okay. And I just gotta pull this out just because we're talking 7x7. You got this thing, right? So where is it? Boom, boom. Just ridiculous. All right. That's a joke. But 7x70, if you like a huge cigar, well, the behemoth La Gloria is out there. Our friends over at Fuerte Libre have done something. They've responded to their consumers. They're another small company that have been working with consumers, and they are releasing the Midnight Ben De Gordo because they got a lot of feedback saying, hey, produce a Gordo on that. Our folks and sponsor over at Tobacco Trading Company, Patrick Potter, announced the release party. They just had it the other day for their Angry Rob, which they introduced at TPE. The Angry Rob is named after a patron at a cigar shop up in New York, and everybody would make fun of him for various reasons, and he would get angry. They called him Angry Rob. Now Angry Rob has a cigar with his face on it, so he's a happy guy. Another General Cigar release, the Punch Rare Corojo returns they resurrected their old front mark for it. So you can check that. That's hitting the shelves. And then this is important. I'm just going to open this up briefly. So this is a new app that is hitting the market called Light 'em Up Go. You could check this app out here. The information's in here. So there's a group. There are 3 brothers of the leaf over in Europe that came up with the concept. They've been having this going for a while, but the app is new. And this app's going to allow consumers, brand owners, shops to participate. It's free to use, free to download. You can put your events on there, and people that use it will be able to quickly see what events are happening in their area. If you're doing shows like this, it'll announce the shows. You could set up your own rooms and do things with it. So this is something brand new. There is a code you need. So anybody that's watching this, if you need the code when you go there, please text me because it's a private code and they gave me a special code. So I guess they're tracking how many people actually I could bring to the app. So go contact me if you want to get on that app and do something and experience it. I have the code for it and I'll private message it to you. So this is a very cool thing. This is kind of what the app starts off to look like. You can join different shows, you can go to events and so forth. So that's really cool stuff. I love seeing technology meeting the cigar industry. And then Dr. Caffey from Caffey 1901 Cigars had announced earlier in the week that he has moved all production now out of Honduras for a variety of reasons, not to mention the political turmoil that's beginning to happen in Honduras. And he moved everything now to the Aurora factory. So your factory is getting a lot of business that you're working with, and rightfully so. They produce excellent cigars. So that's the news and reviews. Oh, and lastly, on Taking It to the Nub, we pushed out last week's show, which was a really fun show with Drunk Chicken Cigars and our friend Desiree Silva. So if you haven't seen that, you can always go here and it'll take you to the YouTube channel. So you can go watch that along with any other past Taking It to the Nub episodes. So that's the news and reviews on Stogie Press this week. Let's talk football for a little bit. It's football weekend. This is big show weekend. Let's go real easy. Who wins this? Who wins the game?
Cincinnati by 14.
Cincinnati by 14. Robert.
I think it's the Bengals, but I don't know by how much. I'm a Washington footballs fan, currently known as Commanders, formerly known as something else. So I don't I don't have any real preference for this game, but I think the Bengals are going to come out on top.
Maurice?
I think I'm gonna go with the Rams by 7.
Rams by 7. Okay. And Street?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Rams too. I'll go by 10.
All right. We have a split decision so far. Quentin?
I think last time I checked, the spread was what, 4.5?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the Rams covering that 4.5. I don't want to say I think my man up there at plus 14, boy, you need to go to Vegas right now and put money on that plus 14.
Stranger things have happened.
If you win, you
We'll
owe me a
talk.
cigar.
We talk.
Well, I'm with Daryl and Robert. I'm going with the Bengals. I am always, I don't have a dog in the show. All right. Brady's out. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at Joe Burrow and that team. It all depends on the offensive line protecting him. All right. Providing enough lane for him to run. And if they do that, and those are the ifs, they win. And I think they could win by 10, 14 points. If they don't, well, it goes the other way. But we got a split decision here. Yeah, you also had some other questions, I believe, Quentin, on this topic.
And I got a quick question for you guys, right? So we all know that when a Super Bowl winner, they get to pop the bottles and smoke the cigars, right? If you had a cigar in your portfolio that you could hand deliver to the locker room of the winning team, what cigar out of your portfolio would you take into the locker room and why?
ONP Toro, our original natural pleasure. I think it would signify the greatness, that moment that they've achieved. They'll get a nice blend of spicy pepper on the light off. They will enjoy the cigar just as much as they enjoy the victory.
And if you can get us in the locker room, we can be there.
Well, we do know that Joe Burrow, I don't know if Burrow is the one that smokes it. I think he was smoking something other than the tobacco special, but they were smoking tobacco special. So, Drew Estate's somehow connected into that.
Right.
So that would be fun. But it would be interesting to see, what cigar is being smoked. We should track that more in this industry because they always do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're hoping one day they'll say we're going to Disneyland and smoke the Empress Cut. That's our hope.
Right.
There you go. And that's interesting because did they go to Disneyland or did they go to Disney World? They're in California.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
NFL's a little cheap. They may go to Disneyland.
We've got a number of athletes that smoke our cigars, so we always poll them when they're going to different events. We make sure they have a care package to go with them. So we've got baseball players, football players, and if we find out they're going somewhere, we're sending you a care package. Don't smoke them all. Give them out.
Yeah.
Wait until you get on the podium and then smoke it.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
That's absolutely right. And if you lose, well, you'll smoke it anyway and just
Yeah.
make the loss feel that much easier.
Yeah, that's easy. Exactly.
What do you think happens now with football as we move forward? Tom Brady, let's just assume Tom Brady is not coming back. There are rumors out there of quarterbacks moving from team to team right now. You got rumors of Gronkowski saying if he was ever to stay in a game and play for any quarterback, it would only be Joe Burrow. What do you think the complexion of the league looks like next year? You think there's going to be a lot of shifts in coaches and assistant coaches?
Well, I think
Yeah,
we've already seen a bunch of shifting coaches and also assistant coaches. And watching ESPN and all the other sports shows, obviously everybody wants to be with a winner. So I think it will be quite a few of new acquisitions for teams moving forward.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be exciting because now you got two different teams in the Super Bowl that hadn't been there traditionally. So I feel like there's a changing of the guard, and you got some young players that are hungry. So I think you could see some major upsets again next year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, all of the sports are changing. If Quentin can drop off Harden at Philly on his drive up there, everything is possible. You got the beard on, okay?
Well, we had Harden in Houston, and we're still looking, so you can have that one.
So who's your favorite teams right now? I mean, you got Houston guys. Are you sticking with Houston on there?
Oh, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers guy in down here in the dirty South, but I would prefer the Pittsburgh Steelers down here. Houston Texans been in a rebuilding year. They squandered some good years when they had a lot of players. So I'm staying with Pittsburgh.
Okay. How about you, Maurice?
I am a Carolina Panthers fan since they're about the closest team that I can get to. So yeah.
I've been a Raider fan forever, and I'm not jumping ship.
Yeah, we got some Raiders fans on here for sure.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for a quarterback, so I don't follow a team when it comes to football. That's my secondary sport. My primary is baseball, obviously. And when I look at football, I always follow quarterbacks. Before Brady, it was Elway, Denver Broncos all the way through and through. I had the jersey, I had the pennant. When he left, I was in a funk. I was living in Florida. I was like, maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, that was a big error. It was like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to do this. And then Brady got on the scene, and I was like, it's looking like a pretty good quarterback. So I kind of followed him, and I got stuck with him for all these years, and hard to get away from him. He was winning games and making me proud. Now I'm in a funk. I got to find a new quarterback and a new team. I don't believe it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now without Brady. I don't think that team is going to be the same next year, without a doubt. So I think it's Mahomes, Burrow, Mac. I mean, there's a few out there, so I got some time.
Don't forget about the boy up in Buffalo. He's
yeah.
He's pretty solid.
Yeah,
and they just parked the Brinks truck out in front of his house too. So
yeah. The Brady thing, for some reason, it doesn't feel final. I don't know why.
It's drama, baby. It's drama.
Yeah. I feel like Giselle said, you said you was going to quit this year, so you coming home, but he really don't want to come home.
He needs to spend time with his family. He's got beautiful wife, beautiful kids. Yeah. And you know what? It's time for them to have dad around much more.
Somebody on ESPN, Jimmy, was joking and said, let him stay at home with the wife and kids for 3 months. He'll be ready to come back.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think it's going to be interesting dynamic as we move forward. Yes, there's drama. Drama's on purpose, okay? Yeah. Because it's selling news. It's selling news.
Here's food for thought, right? So we are now year 2 for 2 where last year they had the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers played at their home stadium. This year it's in Los Angeles. You got the Los Angeles Rams playing in their home stadium. Daryl,
They're not going to win.
how much money are you willing to put on the Las Vegas Raiders playing a home Super Bowl game next year?
They could do it. They have a new offensive coordinator / new coach. The Patriots had a great offensive scheme for many years, and Derek Carr is actually a pretty good quarterback. He just makes some stupid decisions here and there. We have a great offensive line, great receivers, great running back. We have an opportunity. We did well without a coach. We did well in a lot of controversy. You know, we did poorly when we had everything together.
I think on that note, though, the NFL has to figure that out, because this is two quirks in the system, right? They need to really have a rule change that says if that happens, there's a backup stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't play in your home state. You got to have a neutral field. I mean, it's not like baseball. Don't get me wrong. Baseball, when you play, they don't have neutral field, and it's just the people that get there, and every stadium is different. Okay. They got all the little quirks in each stadium and stuff. Football, it's 100-yard field. It looks the same no matter where you play, except for the shit that's around it. But
Right.
The field is the field. It doesn't change from venue to venue, right? So maybe it's okay. And I guess the population is split between opposing teams as far as who gets tickets to go there. But it just seems a little weird that they're playing in in their home stadium. The largest game of the year.
Numbers actually show right now that Bengals fans have bought more tickets than Los Angeles Rams fans have. So right now, the Bengals actually stand to have a slight home field advantage on the Rams in their own home stadium. I think they said 54% of the tickets have come from Bengals supporters. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, Bengals fans are hungry, man. They haven't been to the Super Bowl in what, 30-something years?
31 years.
Yeah.
And I think we would all agree, right? We would all love the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, but to be able to sit in the luxury of your own home in front of a 70-inch and eat whatever you want to eat and cook whatever you want to cook, I think that I think that's what the Rams are struggling with, is that why would the Rams fans spend
money to go to
the money when they're going to get the same experience? If they win the Super Bowl, they're still going to get the parade. You know, they're still going to get everything that comes to them.
And they're going to have, 80-some degree weather?
Oh, it's supposed to be
in the backyard.
Supposed to be record breaking.
Yeah, they have a heat advisory out there right now.
Yeah, you pop the tents up in the backyard. That's the perfect place.
Right. So Cincinnati fans are like, get me the hell up out of Cincinnati right now. It's 35 degrees.
Exactly. The weather driving them to go there.
They will be very loud at that stadium.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I hope it's a fun show. I feel that they're pretty evenly matched teams, so I think it should be a close game. I don't like blowout bowl games. It just kills me. People turn it off, but most people leave it on because they got a 10x10 block of squares on a wall somewhere. And there comes a point, they don't care who wins or loses, whether they just want to know if their number shows up.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, if the Super Bowl is as competitive as the playoff games, where we're probably in for a good game.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
I
Now
thought it was going to be the 49ers versus Kansas City. Those playoffs were great.
they were amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember a year where there were that many close games going overtime games.
Yeah.
I mean, there was
Last minute.
heart and soul in that. It's almost like watching college football teams playing, just wanting it. They wanted this.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I actually have a solution for your football stadium query, right? So I think that they should honestly bounce the Super Bowl between three main sites. I don't think that you can ever go wrong with a Super Bowl in Miami. I don't think that you can ever go wrong with a Super Bowl in Los Angeles because of the weather. And then another highly slept on city that always throws one hell of a party is New Orleans, Louisiana. If you can bounce those three cities and rotate them in, I think that's a win-win. I don't think anybody would have a problem with saying, man, I got tickets to go to this Super Bowl. It's in god awful Miami, man, where it's going to be 82 degrees.
No.
I don't think they have a problem filling the stands in the big game, but personally, I'm on the other side. I get what you said, but I'd like to see it at Soldiers Field in the middle of the winter with snow.
Yeah.
No,
Changes the whole dimension of the game.
I don't want that.
That'll kill the party dollars. Nobody want to go out after the game after they thaw out.
I don't know how the Packers do it all season long.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't need any ice during the tailgating, though.
That's for sure.
It's true. That's true.
Your bourbon stays cold.
Your bourbon stays cold, and it's neat.
And you smoke 2 or 3 cigars at that day.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
What does this say? Oh, Chris Cortez says agreed. No huge blowouts and tough fought battles. Very good. He was absolutely right. What anybody else chime in here?
So Jimmy, I'm gonna put you on the spot for a second, right? You said you a baseball guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the midst of a lockout.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins the World Series if we have a World Series this year?
Boston Red Sox. Every year it's the Boston Red Sox. But if I do the analysis, if I really want to look at it from an analytical perspective,
Boston Red Sox.
The Dodgers. The Dodgers are in there. The Tampa Bay Rays, who are now the new third nemesis in the American League East. I mean, you got the Yankees, you got the Rays, and you got the Red Sox. Though it used to just be the Yankees and the Red Sox. Now you got these three teams. The Rays are a tough team, all right, and they do it with no money.
Yeah,
which I'm really impressed with. And let's be real, one of the reasons I switched hats was during that Steinbrenner era. One of the catalysts was I never liked the fact that all this money was being thrown around. And even with this lockout right now, it's just continuing this whole era of there's no salary cap. They are just spending. We're going to have in maybe 5 years, you're going to have $1 billion pitcher. Think about it. The guy's going to make $1 billion pitching, throwing a baseball every 5 games. That's ridiculous. And you wonder why your beer costs $16 at a ballpark.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. So, no, I think there's some good ones. I think Atlanta is going to stay strong this year. Okay. I think they're pretty solid. The Astros always been solid for the last 5-6 years. They've been, showing strength. So yeah, there's a lot. What I would like to see is I would like to see Baltimore get out of their funk that they get into every year, where they come on strong and then they just fade into like 80 games at first place or something. It's like, I don't know how people could be a Baltimore Orioles fan. They just disappoint every year. It's like the Tigers, right? They do the same thing, right? It's like, can you guys do they just not care at a certain point and they just give up, or are they really trying to play the game? Because I have to believe that every player, regardless of the team they're playing on, it's more than just that team. They're trying to do their own records. They're trying to get their own hits. They're trying to get their own steals. They want to get the Golden Glove. So there's a lot of mini awards that go on throughout the season that build up. So I'm hoping that they just keep wanting to play baseball. But these guys, this lockout's bad for baseball.
Yeah.
All right. And a slight left turn, Street. does Barry Bonds belong in the Hall of Fame?
Man, you try to mess up a good interview, man. We here to sell cigars and enjoy the community. You want to start some trouble, man. We just met each other. You know, if you know, because it's going to go down to the performance thing. You know what? I struggle because what's the real criteria, you know, to get into the Hall of Fame? If it's to be just this pure good person, then he doesn't belong in. And do you bring in, what do you bring in? You know, is it just that pure on the baseball, at the mound, in the batter's box? If that's the case and you broke the rules, then, you know, you got to deal with it for what it is. But I'm just going to leave it open and leave it up to the rest of the panel to determine, because I want to leave on a good note.
All right, Maurice, you next. Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame, yes or no?
I'm gonna be honest. I really don't watch baseball, so
Good answer.
I don't have opinion one way or the other.
I know my boy Daryl gonna give me an answer though. He gonna answer.
I still think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
My man.
I agree.
So that's my answer. Put Pete Rose in there.
Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, like my brother, I've never been a connoisseur of baseball. I'm not a big baseball watcher. Like Darnell said, if it's about pure talent, then yes. But if you want to take in everything else into account, then you know you may have some hesitation.
I have a good friend who just recently got inducted into the Football Hall of Fame about 3 years ago, Charles Haley. And he was an outstanding football player, but because of some of the perceived outside antics that he had went through, you know, his time was delayed. And just recently, I think it was about 3 years ago, he was inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame. So, you know, I think it should be on pure talent. If you're going to just, if you allow that to just be the only defining aspect of the person getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I mean, you got somebody like Terrell Owens, right? I don't think that anybody in their right mind who ever watched a game of football from a pure talent standpoint, I mean, Terrell Owens was a first ballot Hall of Famer in my book, but because he rubbed so many people the wrong way with a lot of his antics, you know, they made him wait a little bit.
Right.
You know,
Megatron, same way.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I believe Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. I believe that Alex Rodriguez belongs in the Hall of Fame. I believe if you want to give them their own side of the hall and say cheaters, and let's make sure we tell the whole story. You know, hey, these guys cheated, but they also along the way put up absolutely phenomenal numbers. I believe that we as a society have a bad reputation of wanting to tell half the story.
Right.
Hey, they did steroids. Yeah, but before Barry Bonds ever did the first steroid, he could have probably walked away from the game when he was in Pittsburgh and been a Hall of Famer and never, not once picked up a bat or a ball for the San Francisco Giants. So I think a lot of the times we miss that because it's all perceived notions and who do you piss off and who do you make happy and, you know, whose ego are you stroking? So a lot of that has to do with that.
Well,
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like put the good and the bad in. If you can induct them in, here's all the good, and here's some of the so and bad stuff they did. Like you said, the whole picture.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go, I mean, I have not been to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and my wife went there, and she says I got to go. But the question, I don't know, do they have at least the story of the Chicago White Sox in there? Is there a place where you learn about that whole cheating disaster?
Right.
You
Chicago
know,
Black Sox.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that was just horrendous what happened. So, but, and if they do, then yeah, I agree. Then you just create a hall that talks about some of the bad. So you tell that whole story. I think the whole story of baseball needs to be told from the 1800s to now. And that's what that hall should be about. So, but on the cheating stuff, I don't know if you guys watch Bill Maher on HBO, but last night Bill Maher had Ricky Williams on as his interview, and it was, if you got HBO, you catch this later, just watch the beginning of it as the interview. It was amazing. because they got into the whole discussion. He has a company that he started called Heisman. It's the Heisman Company. All right, but it's not spelled like the Heisman Trophy. It's Highs, man. Right? So it's this whole weed company, right?
Right.
And they were talking about that, and and how he, was forced out of baseball because he smoked weed, and it's enhancing drug, all this, it's illegal, and yeah, that was probably more illegal than steroids were at the time when they weren't illegal, right? People were doing it. But then he got in and he said, the profound statement he made, which was quite interesting, he says, when you're in college and you're playing college sports, he says, they hand out Adderall like candy, okay, to the athletes on prescription for them to focus on what they do. All right. And it's legal because it's prescribed. Right. And he says, if you want to talk about performance enhancing, take some Adderall and you're going to be focused, adding eye,
Right.
everything. And he's absolutely right. He goes, and it moves right into professional sports. He goes, but that's okay. But because I smoked weed, I can't play game. And then at the end, they said, would you want to go back? He says, hell no. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I'm making a lot of money doing it. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go around. You guys get the last word. We'll start with Robert.
I just really want to thank Stogie Press for bringing Emperors Cut on their show tonight. I thank you for your excellent review. We're very proud of our product selection here at Emperors Cut, from our Natural Pleasures, the Jazz series, to our New Indulgent series. And we hope that your viewers will give us a try if they haven't tried us yet, and keep supporting us if they're already fans. Thanks.
Daryl?
Robert said it best. We love the support. We thank you for purchasing our cigars, and we wish everyone in the industry continued success.
Maurice?
Thank you for your support. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. And we look forward to hearing from you and working with you in the future.
And Street?
Yeah, we appreciate everything. We love these venues. We love to come back whenever you want us to and engage with your listeners. We produce cigars for the average person, and that's what we try to put at the center of what we do. Yeah, we need to make money, but that's not our main focus. Our other slogan is, we love to smoke with our customers. So if you ever see us or you email us, we'll do our best to come smoke with you. We started selling cigars in people's backyards at barbecues, 2 and 3 people at a time. So we love people. So give us a call. Thank you again.
All right.
And we always say, if you won't smoke them, we will.
We will. We don't have a choice.
Hey, one of your partners isn't on today, but tell Timmy to stop getting trapped in elevators at the trade show.
We might as well go back to the steroid conversation.
All right, with that, I'm going to say thank you to all the sponsors for the show. Again, without them,
Yes.
The show is always a little harder to do. They pay the bill to keep this thing rolling. I want to thank all the viewers that are watching it now, have been watching it, or will watch it in the future. You guys keep Stogie Press alive and keep me enthused to keep doing what I'm doing, which is a great passion for the leaf and for the tobacco of cigars. And I want to thank Quentin for being my new co-host. I hope he did okay.
Yes.
Except for that one question. So with that, this is Boss and Jimmie out, Stogie Press. Peace. You all have a great Saturday.
Peace.
You the same. Thank you.